I'm not used to eating the microphone here. I'm a man of written word, not really a public speaker, so I beg your indulgence if I stumble. We are here today to protest a terrible injustice. A terrible injustice. It's an injustice, it's a crime, and it's a mistake. It's an injustice, a crime, and a mistake. Remember those. It's a trinity. Be easy to remember. 8 years ago, American warplanes were among those who bombed Serbia for 78 days on behalf of a terrorist organization. A terrorist organization called the Kosovo Liberation Army. Liberation from what? Yeah. Boo, exactly. Yeah. It was a terrorist organization that has been proven to be involved in the trafficking of drugs, in the trafficking of weapons, in acts of terrorism, and perhaps the worst of all, the most denigrating and the most revolting to any decent human being, Turks. Turks were forced from their homes in Kosovo at gunpoint by Albanians. Gorani are being forced out of their schools right now, just last week, because they refuse. The government of Kosovo refuses to let them study in their own language. Their children cannot go to school in the so-called free Kosovo because they have to study in Albanian. Where are human rights organizations to protest that? Those are our people as well. We have to protect them. It serves Goran, everybody. Thank you. Last week, February 17th, is a day that will live in infamy right alongside of March 24th, 1999.
If he has one.
If he has one, yes. What the US government did on Monday, by recognizing this illegal declaration of independence, was criminal. And we're here today to tell them it was criminal, and to tell them we won't stand for it. And if there's any decency left in this country, and there are elections coming up in November, if there's any decency left in this country, that decision will be reversed. We have heard here today that our people have suffered in Kosovo over the centuries. 500 years of Ottoman Turks, occupied by Austria-Hungary on 2 occasions, terrible suffering, occupied by the Greater Albania and the Nazis in World War II. Well, where are these countries today? Where is the Ottoman Empire? Gone! Where is Austria-Hungary? Gone! Where is Nazi Germany? Gone! We're still here! This too shall pass, and we will remain. The story that this was inevitable because of Serbian atrocities and because Serbs would not negotiate is a lie. It is simply, you mentioned Secretary Rice. I'm a nice kid from a nice family. I can't say bad things about people even when they deserve them. I'm just going to say that Ms. Rice is a Sovietologist who never saw the Soviet Union coming apart. That should speak enough about her competence. Where's the Soviet Union today? I don't see it anywhere. So that much about Mrs. Rice. People who say that Kosovo should be independent Albanian state, say that Serbs committed genocide. This is a lie. This is such a terrible lie that even they don't say it anymore. Even they've stopped saying anything about it because all of their accusations, all of them, have been proven false. Daniel Pearl, God rest his soul, fearless reporter, went into the province in the year 2000, writing for a paper that has supported the war, that wanted to bomb Serbs back into the Stone Age. And he went there and investigated the worst of the worst stories. Stories about mines filled with dead bodies and crematoria. And you are stupid? Shame on Bush!
Shame on Bush! Shame on Bush! Shame on Bush! Malo nije nešto.
This too shall pass. This too shall pass. To people who imagine themselves to be the Roman emperors of old, they should remember that every time a conquering Roman general led a procession of triumph, there was a little boy, specifically with the task to whisper into his ear, "Sic transit gloria mundi." This too shall pass. So, Mr. President, this too shall pass. You too shall pass.
Yeah, you can write down the email address.
People know. People have seen it.
Come back again?
It cannot be denied. It is not a lie. It is the truth. 4,000 Serbs were expelled. 15 churches were destroyed. Have any of them been rebuilt? None. Have any of the Serbs returned home? No. Have any of the villages been rebuilt? No. So much for the promises of the UN, so much for the promises of NATO. So much.
You mean you NATO?
BS.
Exactly. NATO troops that were supposed to protect people fled like frightened rabbits. The Germans themselves. Every time he speaks to the media, every time he talks to the media, he promises tolerance and peace and human rights and democracy.
Annual membership.
We have seen his tolerance in action. We have seen his respect for human rights. We have seen the severed heads of our countrymen, the burned churches, the looted buildings. We have seen his democracy, and we're saying, no thank you. This country was established 200 odd years ago on a principle that law will be stronger than force. This is the very foundation of the United States of America. What happened last week was the destruction of that foundation. People who recognized Kosovo dynamited, blew up that law. Just like the terrorists on September 11th blew up the Twin Towers and the Pentagon. This was an act of terrorism against international law, against international order. Terrorist, yes! And yet we've had ambassadors and congressmen brag about how they're creating an Islamic state in the heart of Europe and asking jihadists around the world to take note of this. What is wrong with this picture, people? Everything. We live in a world turned upside down. Help us set it right. This is what I'm asking the American people today. The Russians and the Chinese and the Indians and hundreds of other nations around the world who have not recognized Kosovo are aware of this. They want the world to be the way it's supposed to be. We need to persuade the others to set it right. There's a monument across the tidal basin here. You can't see it from the White House right now. To Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers of this country, one of the authors of the Declaration of Independence. There's a quote on that monument. "I tremble for my country when I remember that God is just, and that his justice cannot sleep forever." Thank you.